Mm-mm. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kiera and today we're going to be talking about brand guides. If you don't know what a brand guide is, let me break it down to you. Pretty much a brand guide is a tool or a set of rules that is provided to you most likely by the person who creates your logo. The brand guide consists of many elements that pretty much explains what your brand is, how it should be represented, and what are the specifics that are needed in order to use it for your marketing materials. These elements include things such as hex color codes, your logos, typography, mood boards, things of that nature. And being a graphic designer, I noticed that a lot of people are not equipped with brand guides. It's either because they're not in the process of having a logo and a brand guide developed yet, or maybe they worked with a designer who wasn't in their budget, and so they didn't receive a logo with these added things. And that's just typically the case. Every designer is at a different level, every client is at a different level, they have different budgets, so sometimes you have to cut corners. But if I recommend anything to you, is to make sure that you have a brand guide. Having a nice logo is good and all, but really everything that comes in line with your marketing for your business cards, website, social media presence, you have to have a brand guide. And it's really essential to pass along to me, your graphic designer, so I know how to best represent you and your brand. I'm going to break down every element, every common element that will be found in the brand guide and explain it a little bit to you. That way you as a graphic designer, you know what it is that you can start maybe incorporating in your brand guides, or what it is that you should be looking for when you're working with clients. And clients, it's always important for you to understand how your brand should be represented and understand the elements that's included. That way when you're communicating with your graphic designer, you can easily understand the lingo and understand what it is that you have provided to them and what you have not yet provided to them. The primary element that is included in most brand guides is the logo and its variations. So you do have a primary logo, a secondary logo, and a submark logo. But there's also different variations, including color. Your primary logo can consist of multiple colors. You can also get an all-white version that's transparent, an all-black version that's transparent, or say that your brand color consists of blue and green. You'll also have an all green version and an all blue version. This is what I mean by the logo and its variations. Also, styles. That resonates more towards the primary, secondary, and submark. Most of the times, these things have different styles, such as horizontal, stacked, circular, text-based, image-based, all of those things. Any and all assets that is needed for your brand and its logos, it's all in there. That way there's no questions of if, ands, buts about it. The assets are there and the rules of how to use them as so should be there too. The next thing that's commonly found in your brand guide is typography. Typography is pretty much the list of specific fonts that is dedicated to your specific brand. A lot of the time, some of these fonts are pulled from the logo itself. So if you have a text-based logo, whatever font choices that was used within that will also be included in your brand guide. But it's also important to go a little bit beyond that. You will find oftentimes that there's a font for your heading, a suggested font for subtitles, and a suggested font for paragraphs. And let me change my language because I don't want you guys to get the idea that any of these things are suggestions. This is set in stone. It is what it is. As a graphic designer, if you're given a brand guide, really our job is not to alter or do whatever it is that we want to do. The brand guide tells us specifically what we can and cannot do. Unless there is a conversation that is done with a client where they give the okay to do anything other than what the brand guide outlines, I say don't do it. And that includes coming up with your own fonts as well as your own colors. So now that we're talking about colors, your brand colors is also the other element that's included in brand guides. This is often referred to as your hex color codes. There are various color codes that we use as designers and printers, from hex color codes to PMS to CMYK, RGB, so on and so on. And each of these are specific to their own area as far as how it's being used. For right now, we're just going to focus on hex color codes, and that is often used for web design. So for your hex color codes, these are your primary colors that is dedicated to your brand, right? So you can have red, orange, and yellow as your primary colors, just to throw that out there. Those are your core colors in addition to white and black. My personal opinion, no matter what your color scheme is, include white and black, because if you have someone that takes things super literal, they will not consider white and black. If you don't want black, definitely consider white, because you're going to need some sort of separation. Your hex color codes are the brand specific colors that your designer should abide by. They are not suggestions. They are what to be used, how they are said to be used, especially if they're your primary colors. If you have a well-detailed and thought out brand guide like most large companies do, you will have a run of secondary colors as well as a range of complementary colors that make for great accents. So previously, I have been studying about brand guides, and I am in deep and it's to the point where I want to elevate my style of brand guides that I give to my clients when they come to me for brand development. And one of the things that I really enjoy is the section where it talks about the brand colors, because you can have a set of primary colors, which is not that many. Typically is about 2 to 3 primary colors, and then you have secondary colors. These colors are basically complementary to your primary, so it extends your color palette. But then you also have a whole nother section of colors that are different shades that are kind of like based off of the secondary colors. So say if it's like blue, you have a certain like a capri blue, but then there's various shades from light to dark to give you a bit of a range. And I found that that is super helpful for large projects, for websites. Now, when you have something as small as maybe like a business card or an Instagram flyer, your primary and secondary colors will do the job. But sometimes when you have a larger marketing design that you're working on, it's important to have like those little accent elements to add into the branding to tie everything all together, because there's so many different elements. There's various pages that's included in a website. Just having these little details to tie everything in as a brand as a whole, I think is really great, and it's also really important. So if you have a brand guide that has all those details for your colors, 10 out of 10, that is an awesome brand guide. If you do not have that in your brand guide, that's totally fine. It doesn't make or break. It's just up to you and your graphic designer to have that conversation. And designers, be honest with your clients. I find myself doing this more often, like, hey, I think you should do A, B, and C, or it seems like your colors are a little muted and it's not coming out to be as vibrant as you think it is. Let me suggest that maybe we can incorporate this color. How do you feel? And to my opinion, if you're to do that, graphic designers, I feel like you should also provide them that hex color code information by the time you wrap up their project. That way they can add it to their brand guide. The primary reason that we have a brand guide is we want to make sure all things are consistent. It's not only to help build on the brand's identity or the branding, how it should be represented, but honestly, it's built for consistency. These are the rules, these are the fonts, these are the colors, these are the photos that you are to use, and nothing else. Everything needs to be consistent. That consistency adds and it contributes to brand recognition. The next element that's often found in brand guides are mood boards. Mood boards is basically the visual representation that conveys the vision, voice, and mission of the brand. So mood boards are often skipped in this process as far as like a brand guide, especially if you have like a more minimum one. But a well thought out brand guide that includes a mood board really showcases who the audience is, how your brand should make them feel, where's the future of your brand, who do you cater to, what services or products that you provide. It's really supposed to, you look at this Mod Podge of photos and it explains everything, what your brand should be about. It speaks about the people that your brand is supposed to reach. It's also supposed to provoke an emotion as to how you want people emotions to be provoked when they see your brand come across your website or work with your company. This is something really nice to have, and clients, this is a really great reminder for you to always go back to your brand guide and make sure that you are in alignment with your voice and mission and your reason and your purpose of even developing your business. Like, are you doing things out of the desire of doing it because you want to do that, because those are the things that you like or you think is best for you? Or are you doing the things because it's what your audience likes, that's from your business, what's best for your business? You kind of have to separate yourself from that, and I've learned that as well as an entrepreneur. It's not about the things that you like and how you want to do things. You always have to think about your customer, because that's who you're marketing for. Another element that is often found in brand guides, which is also kind of optional, are patterns and icons. This part is actually kind of fun, because if you dig a little bit deeper in brand development, outside of the logos, outside of the brand colors, you get to have a little fun and create little illustrations and icons that are great to use for social media platforms, for letters, for websites, for icons, or even apps if you plan on developing that. These are really fun things to kind of incorporate to give, to build onto that characteristic that your brand already has. One of the last elements that I want to touch on are the do's and don'ts. This section is the opportunity to lay out in detail the proper and improper ways of how to use logos, especially specifically outlining what's considered to be misuse of a logo. Now, clients, I want you to hear this, but designers, I especially want you to hear this, especially if you're a beginner. There are some rules as to what you can and cannot do to alter someone's branding, and that is specifically for the logos. The first thing that's considered to be misuse is changing the color of the logo in any way that is not intended to be used. This means if a text-based logo comes with an icon and that icon is white and the text is blue, you are not allowed to make the icon blue or the text white. That is not what's in the outline. You either take the white icon with the blue text as is, or you take the all white version or the all black version or the all blue version and use it as so. Do not go altering it or mixing and matching colors that is not included in the brand guide. That is considered misuse of the logo. Clients, you need to make sure that you have an all white and an all black version of your logo, or of a color variation so you choose. You need to get that from the designer who created your logo. It is so important to have. But off rip, when you're booking for a logo, communicate with that designer and ask them what all versions are you going to get, and inquire about additional ones that they do not mention that you feel that you need. If you have to pay extra money for that, it's worth it. Go ahead and pay the extra money for those extra variations. When you do everything right the first time when it comes to developing your logo, you will not have to do it again, and you save a whole lot more money because you're making less mistakes. Another thing that's considered as misuse of your logo is shrinking the logo. Altering the size of the logo, transforming it to either be taller, shorter, wider, bold, all of those things are not okay. You are supposed to take the logo as is and let that be that. No altering whatsoever. Also, separating the icon from the text or present the text without the icon are no-nos. So I want to say Spotify, for an example, and I hope I'm not wrong, Spotify has their icon and they also have the text that says Spotify. Now, you can have just the icon in some cases, but you cannot have You can have the icon in some cases. You can also have the icon with the text, but you cannot have the text without the icon. It is things like this that you must know and understand how you can and cannot use certain things. Now, if you're a small or medium-sized business, I'm not going to say it's dire for you to follow some of these rules that are so super specific, but what I will tell you is when you are looking to scale your business and you are growing and your marketing is growing and your budget is growing, you are going to want to make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's. So it's best practice to start thinking of these things now. And like I just mentioned, it's easier to do it right the first time than having to pay more money due to mistakes later. Alright guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you really learned a lot. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I have more videos coming for you guys. And until next time, bye!